Do we need couple therapy? The short answer is yes. But let me explain why the answer is yes. Before doing so, just a couple of common issues. When it comes to couple therapy, when it comes to seeking help, when it comes to admitting that things are not okay, that we, within the relationship, we are not okay. The first one is stigma. There's still a lot of stigma, just like there is in mental health and in individual issues and individual therapy. There is a lot of stigma still for a couple to acknowledge that they're not okay, and what this means, in what way this is a reflection on them, on their personality, on their upbringing, and so on. With the stigma goes the shame of saying not only that things are not okay, but what I very often find is of actually speaking about what's actually going on. I always find it intriguing when a new couple arrive and I go out to the waiting room and to meet them, and they seem nice. Not always, but generally they seem nice. They're used to keeping the front, the social, the mask of the relationship, that this is what we are like. And I often hear that when people talk about and compare themselves with other relationships. Couples become invested in presenting a social persona about their relationship and what they like. But to actually start speaking about what's going on behind closed doors, within the relationship, the difficult stuff, the way in which our darker sides, our shadows, actually emerge within a relationship, that is a source of a lot of discomfort and a lot of shame. And I think that's a key bit that prevents people from actually going to couple therapy. It's the idea of being exposed. I can go to individual therapy and I can decide what I say and what I don't say. And yes, of course, a skilled therapist is going to pick up on certain patterns. But with couple therapy, I'm exposed. My partner potentially can say anything. They're going to talk about the weird and wonderful things that may be extremely embarrassing and shameful, that I do or that I say or that I've done, and vice versa. So I think this is why couple therapy has a whole additional layer of shame and fear even attached to it. So that sort of not wanting to be exposed, I think, is a key part. The last one that is a common issue that I see is most couples wait too long. They wait too long to seek help. They wait too long to acknowledge things are not okay. They keep trying to fix things. And what happens in a relationship is the way in which we try to sort of self-correct becomes part of the problem. It becomes an even louder problem, so to speak. So the way, and we see this in a lot of approaches within psychology, what emerges, these initial ways of trying to cope, trying to survive, trying to manage ourselves and regulate ourselves, become almost exaggerated, a caricature. And they become so dominant in the relationship and completely part of the problematic interactions and conversations that we're having. So these are just a few common things that I think are part of preventing people from seeking help. So let me talk about the 4 ways of using couple therapy, and that's why the answer was yes, because actually couple therapy can be used in a lot of ways, in a lot more ways than what myself and I assume most couple therapists will find in practice. So people can use it 4 different ways. The most common way, the most couples turning up for couple therapy, is because there's been a progressive decline, because the relationship has usually over an extended period of time become unbearable. You're at the point where being in this relationship is just not good for me individually or for us as a couple, and of course not for anyone else, for example the children. It's that scale of unbearableness. What happens between us, we just don't see a way out, and over time, this is why it's progressive, the hope that this will change has become lost. And the second part is that the behaviors, the things we do inadvertently, not necessarily intentionally, has just broken down and caused such an enormous legacy of injury. Now, The second reason most couples turn up for couple therapy is because of a crisis. This means there's been an event or an incident or some specific thing that has happened that has forced the couple to take stock for the relationship and the very definition of the relationship, potentially the marriage as well, to be reconsidered, and it's actually impossible to just continue. Few examples. The discovery or the disclosure of infidelity. That's a huge one, where one or both people have actually decided to separate or divorce. These are big events. They change the core of the relationship, the meaning of the relationship, and it's a definite impact on what does this mean going forward. So this is a crisis. Now you can see these two things. This plus the unbearableness can be coupled together. The reason I'm actually making the videos, these are of most people who come to couple therapy at some point will do because of one of those reasons, or both. But the reason I'm doing this is because the two things I see very rarely, the two ways in which people use couple therapy that I see almost never. And if more couples actually did this, a lot of relationships will get help sooner and will be healthier, potentially. So the third way of using couple therapy for that reason is what I call the relational health check. In my over 20 years of practice, I can probably count on one hand the number of times couples have come to me and said, we're okay. I mean, there may be a few, niggly bits, a few places or areas of friction, but actually what we want is to hear, are we okay? Is there anything we're not seeing? Let's just make space. Let's just do a relational health check. It's the same as you go to the GP, or if you go for one of those sort of, health check, full blood test panel and all of those things, and they say to you, no, you're fine, or hold on, you're not fine, there's some liver issues or whatever. It's the same way of using couple therapy. Allow another person, a third party, a professional, to just review the relationship and say, what's going on here? I see this, I notice this seems to be strong, this seems to be quite resilient, this seems to be intact, but there seems to be potential issues or something you have to keep an eye on. Like I said, in all the years of practice, I can probably count on one hand the number of times couples have come for this. And I always value it when couples do. It says so much about the actual strength of the relationship for a couple to be able to say, have a look at what we do. Ask us those difficult questions and let's see if we are okay. And if we're not okay, let's see if we can do something about it. And then the fourth one, also one of those extremely rare ways in which people use couple therapy, which is for preparation. This is usually when there's an anticipation of an event. For example, we've decided a relationship that may be fairly new, we decided to move in together, or we decided to get married, or we decided to start a family and we're expecting our first child or the second child or whatever. We decided to move country. It's the way of using couple therapy, again, almost like a preparation, almost as a health check, to say, well, we are making this change in our relationship. What do we need to keep an eye on? Are we going to be okay? Let's think about what this actually means. This is so rare, and very few times couples actually do that. You here and there from time to time you hear that people go for pre-marriage counseling or something similar. This is what I'm talking about. But it's really about saying, understanding what that means to make these transitions, what you have to be prepared for. For example, most couple issues emerge 1 to 2 years after the birth of the first child. It's just a fact that I've seen that's often the case, because when there's a substantial shift in the relationship, and having a child completely transforms the relationship in many, many ways that people don't realize. Yes, it's beautiful, it's an amazing thing when your first child is born, but what very few people talk about is the actual impact of that change within the core of of the couple. For example, we used to be 2 people, now there are 3. What our focus is, what we do, who we are, how we activate, all of it shifts. But so rarely do you see couples actually anticipating this and actually seeking help. Now, part of the help is actually just understanding what is to come, understanding the ways in which your relationship will change. Not because there's anything wrong with you, because this is how systems change, this is how people change. This is the impact of having a child, moving country, moving in together. This is what you can expect. And then to do some preparatory work to actually be able to mitigate any of these issues. You're still going to go through it. It's still going to happen, but it's being prepared. So, quick recap. There are 4 different ways of using couple therapy. The majority of people coming for couple therapy use it because there's been a progressive decline where the relationship has gone to a place where it has become unbearable and painful for whatever reasons that is. It can be towards conflict and heightened interactions and escalations, or it can be towards just an extreme withdrawal, cooling down. And you can watch the video on the 3 relationship patterns about this. The second reason is because of a crisis. Now, this can often follow the progressive decline, infidelity, separation, divorce, something happening where the couple has to stop. They cannot simply continue, and they have to redefine what is this, what's going on here. This is actually the type of crisis that forces the couple to seek help or to do something. They usually have to make a decision. The third way is using couple therapy for a relationship check. So proactively going and saying, how are we doing? What's going on? Help us identify if there's anything potentially that we're not aware of. Is there any problem that's growing? This is how I think of it. It's identifying the issues before they become so problematic. And then the fourth way is for preparation. It's really understanding all these key transitions within a relationship and proactively seeking guidance, seeking information, and learning what is to come, but also understanding how me and my partner in particular, in terms of our makeup, our blueprints, our childhood experiences, may actually deal with those things. This is a key part. Based on who we are individually, is always a key part in how we're going to navigate and respond to these very normal transitions and stresses. So anyone potentially can benefit from couple therapy, but to do that, it is important that we find a way of stepping into this space of seeking input. Some of this is about the stereotype and the stigmas about seeking help. It's about our shame. But if more couples proactively ask for help, ask for input, typically the work required is much less intensive, and the chances of improving and strengthening the relationship long term is significantly enhanced.